ज्ञानतिमिनन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजादां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्तो राधाकान्तो नमस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। One last time. Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Rama Rama Rama.
Rama Rama Hare.
So Hare Krishna, very warm welcome to all of you. So today we will start second chapter. First chapter we have already concluded in the previous two sessions. So Arjuna is feeling very bewildered after seeing his relatives on the battlefield, and he is giving 4 reasons why he doesn't want to fight. So anybody remembers what were the 4 reasons? The 5th reason will be in the second chapter. Any of the 4 reasons? Anybody remembers? First was yeah.
मेरे को फोर्थ वाला याद है. हरे कृष्णा.
Fourth वाला क्या है?
वो if he kills like relatives के जो बच्चे होंगे वो मतलब they will be without their fathers and one संकरा का कारण बन सकते हैं अर्जुन.
हाँ yes वर्ण शंकरा. वर्ण संकरा क्या होता है? What is वर्ण संकरा?
मतलब पूरे कुल का नाश जिससे हो सकता है. मुझे एग्जैक्टली याद नहीं आ रहा अभी, बट कुल का नाश करने वाले को शायद वर्ण संकरा से एसोसिएट किया जाता है.
नहीं, वर्ण संकरा is the population which is not desirable, which is demoniac population. If women are unprotected, they will by default engage in like illicit activities, and that will result in Varna Sangra. Varna Sangra means undesired population. So most of the people, yeah, thank you. So most of the population in today's Kali Yuga is Varna Sangra only, because nobody is doing Garbhadana Sanskar and nobody is following the Vedic scriptures, right? The Dash Vida Sanskara are there, right? So that is Varna. So Varna Sankara is one reason. Thank you. And Pragya Mataji, what is the second reason? Second, third, and first.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Second reason, Prabhuji, sinful reaction.
Yeah.
Or enjoyment. Sorry.
These are two different reasons. That is the first reason. Sorry.
Prabhuji.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sinful reaction.
Sinful reaction. That is the third reason or second reason?
Third reason, Prabhuji.
Okay. And Prabhujit Prabhu, what are the other two reasons?
Prabhuji, first reason was compassion.
Passion. Yes. Thank you.
Prabhuji, second one is enjoyment. Third one is sinful reaction, and fourth one is fear of sin, I think.
No. Varna Sankara as So if we kill all the husbands, right, all the male members of all the families, then the women will be unprotected and they will by default will engage in illicit activities, which will result in Varna Sankara, undesired population. So actually the consciousness with which you beget children is very crucial, very important. That consciousness expands actually in the family with whatever consciousness you beget children. So that's why like this Varnasankara is saying that if ladies just they for protection they indulge in illicit activities, then that will result in Varnasankara. Okay. So second chapter will start today. Sanjaya Vach. So after giving these 4 reasons, Arjuna is totally like lamenting, and he has put down his Gandiva, and he is totally full of overwhelmed with grief. So let's see what Krishna says. Sanjaya Vacha tam tatha kripayavistam ashruburna kulekshanam vishidantamidam vakyam uvacha Madhusudana. Sanjaya said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusudan Krishna spoke the following words. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kutastva Kashmalam Midam Vishame Samupastitam Anaryajustam Asvargam Ki Akirti Garam Arjuna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets but to infamy. So actually Arjuna is displaying compassion, but in the first verse, Prabhupada is writing in the purport that compassion is not on the spirit level. That is a material compassion. For example, if we see some beggar, we think, oh, he's suffering so much. He is so much hungry, he's not able to get prasadam, his food. So that is material compassion, because we are not able to show compassion on the spiritual level. One time, these students from IIT Delhi did a play that a person was drowning in the lake, and few people, they just saved the jacket which he was wearing, and the body drowned. So material compassion is like that. You are just saving the jacket. The soul is drowning. Actually, the self is drowning. So that's what that was the fault of Arjuna. Basically, Arjuna was giving all the arguments on the lower principles level. Like, although he's a very compassionate devotee, he's a very envisioning person, and he's a soft-hearted person, because of which he can understand the pain of the family members, of the families if the husbands are killed. But still, the compassion was misplaced. Like, he was attached to his relatives, and he wanted to enjoy the kingdom with his relatives. But that was not fulfilling Krishna's instruction. Krishna's instruction and Krishna's vision was to kill all the demons at once. It says, it is said, right? Ek panth do kaj. So Krishna assembled all the demons at a particular place called Kurukshetra for a particular purpose, to kill them all together. And Arjuna is saying, no, I will not do. So Krishna will instruct very technically, very judiciously. And that's why Krishna is asking Arjuna that how these impurities have come upon you. You are a Kshatriya and you are meant to fight. And if Kshatriya, if he leaves the battlefield, he goes to hell. But if he fights, even if he loses, then also he goes to heavenly planets. And if he wins, then he enjoys the he rules the Krishna conscious kingdom. So for Kshatriya, the fighting has to be done. It should not be left. Yeah. So in the purport, Prabhupada is writing about the 3 levels of realization, right? Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So these 3 levels of realizations are like understanding the sun rays. First, you understand the rays of the sun, then you understand the core of the sun, and then you go deeper and understand that there are other living entities residing on the surface of the sun. So even the sun is also sun god. So you understand the sun as a person. That is Bhagavan realization. So these 3 things Prabhupada is explaining in the second shlokas purport, and he is using this to understand that how basically we advance in Krishna consciousness. And if we are having Hridaya Daurbalyam, Kutastva Kashmalamidam, then we will not be able to advance so much. So that's what Arjuna, Prabhupada is writing in the last paragraph. I'll read the last paragraph. In the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna's lamentation for his kinsman is certainly unbecoming. And therefore Krishna expressed his surprise with the word Kuta, where from? Such impurities were never expected from a person belonging to the civilized class of men known as Aryans. The word Aryan is applicable to persons who know the value of life and have a civilization based on spiritual realization. Persons who are led by the material conception of life do not know that the aim of life is realization of the absolute truth. Vishnu or Bhagwan, and they are captivated by the external features of the material world. And therefore, they do not know what liberation is. So, yeah, so generally people are guided by material conception of life. That I should get my food, I should get my salary, I should get my family members, I should get my car, and then I'll be happy. But then they never realize that what is the higher purpose of life. Higher purpose of life is to understand that we are not this body, we are spirit soul by a systematic development of your spiritual values. And that happens when you take guidance from senior devotees, take guidance from the bona fide spiritual master. So that is those people who make endeavor to understand that they are spirit soul, they are meant to serve Krishna. Those are called Aryans. They understand the value of life, and they have a systematic life. They have a systematic life which is based on spiritual realization. So Prabhupada always quotes, right? Like a devotee tries to mold his life in such a way that he can remember Krishna always, and he can do his dedicated sadhaka activities with more and more intensity. So your sadhana depends on what you do in the daytime. So in the daytime also we have to remember Krishna, and we have to study Shastra whenever we forget Krishna. We have to revitalize our energy in the daytime. And that will reflect in our sadhana in the morning and evening. How we are serving all the other living entities, how we are serving our family members, how we are seeing everything connected to Krishna. Like that, how much we can see Krishna consciousness in the daytime, that reflects in our sadhana in the morning and in the evening. So such society which aims for spiritual realization, that is called Aryans. And non-Aryans are those who are totally like bound by material entanglement, and they don't have any higher purpose of life. So that's why Krishna is saying that Arjuna, although you belong to Aryan civilization, but still how these impurities have come unto you. So Krishna is standing behind him, and still he is having impurities that I don't want to deal with my family members. I don't want to kill them. So that's why Krishna is asking that everything you have, you are in Aryan civilization, you have me also, but then also this weak-heartedness is coming. What is the reason? Why this doesn't belong to you actually? The legacy which you are carrying from your both the families, this doesn't deserve you. Yeah. Okay. क्लैप्यमास्मगमा पार्था न तद्वया उपपद्यते शूद्रं हृदय दौर्बल्यं त्यक्त्वोत्तिष्ठ परन्तप. O son of Pritha, do not yield to this degrading importance. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of the enemy. So Krishna is actually mocking indirectly, and Krishna is motivating Arjuna to rise and fight. Purport. Arjuna was addressed as a son of Pritha, who happened to be the sister of Krishna's father Vasudeva. So Kunti was the Mausi of Krishna. So Mausi means Bua of sister Krishna. He was the sister of his father, Krishna's father Vasudeva. Therefore, Arjuna had a blood relationship with Krishna. If the son of a Kshatriya declines to fight, he is a Kshatriya in name only. And if the son of a Brahmana acts impiously, he is a Brahmana in name only. Such Kshatriyas and Brahmanas are unworthy sons of their fathers. Therefore, Krishna did not want Arjuna to become an unworthy son of a Kshatriya. Arjuna was the most intimate friend of Krishna, and Krishna was directly guiding him on the chariot. But in spite of all these credits, if Arjuna abandoned the battle, he would be committing an infamous act. Therefore, Krishna said that such an attitude in Arjuna did not fit his personality. Arjuna might argue that he would give up the battle on the grounds of his magnanimous attitude for the most respectable Bhishma and his relatives, but Krishna considered that sort of magnanimity mere weakness of heart. Such false magnanimity was not approved by any authority. Therefore, such magnanimity or so-called non-violence should be given up by persons like Arjuna under the direct guidance of Krishna. So Krishna basically is telling Arjuna that Arjuna, you are giving excuses. For example, sometimes we say we have become a devotee, so now I will not work for outside person, for a non-devotee. But what is the reason? Because we are feeling uncomfortable. Like that is our weakness of heart. Because that is our dharma, right? Like whatever education, whatever qualification we have, with that qualification we should serve Krishna. Whatever society is providing, whatever infrastructure is there, we should do our duty and engage the results in Krishna's service. And we have to use all the byproducts also, because ultimately Krishna gives intelligence, and by that intelligence we can use the ingredients to make something which is productive, which can be used in Krishna's service. So Krishna has given intelligence, and with that intelligence, we have learned some skills, we have done some education, and Krishna has placed us in a certain work scenario. So depending on Krishna, whatever needs to be done, not compromising on our sadhana, we should, depending on Krishna, we should fight. And for us, fighting means we should nicely work responsibly for pleasing Krishna. And the results also we should engage in Krishna's service. So the work is also given by Krishna. The intelligence to complete the work will also come by Krishna, and the results also will be engaged in Krishna's service. So when these three components are there, then it is easier to work in Buddhi Yoga. So that is there. That's what I learned from our Shiksha Guru. Okay, so we should not give excuses. Like generally in Kali Yuga, everybody is giving excuses. Okay, I don't want to chant. I don't want to come to temple. I have other plans to come to go to visit my friends. I don't want to do service in temple. Some nice service is given. I want to work for NGO. So like this, excuses are always there. I don't want to go to temple because my family, I have so many responsibilities. I don't want to serve in the temple. So like this, basically there is some excuses there, but we should try to make take steps in the right direction. We should understand what is our goal, and we should try to take steps. For example, for myself, I have become very lazy in temple services. So I should also take some step that, okay, I will do this much. Once a week, I will do at least 2 hours of service in the temple. So that will bring a sense of detachment for me, for my family members. Otherwise, if I always stay with them, I'm always inside the kadai, right? So if they are getting cooked, I'm also getting cooked. So I will not be able to help them. As Amog Leela Prabhu says that if you want to cook halwa, then you have to be outside the kadai. If you are already in the kadai, how will you cook halwa? You will also become fried like halwa. So to cook halwa, you have to come outside. And that outside you can only come when you prioritize Krishna, when you prioritize the instructions of the devotees, when you give priority to that and you serve in that manner. So all these things are very important actually. Like these priorities are like senior devotees say that the Maya, like initially, like it is giving excuses, like for a very neophyte or for a very uninterested person, Maya will say, okay, no, I don't want to chant. What is the use? These people keep saying Krishna, Krishna. I don't want to go to temple. I have so many other things to do. But when you advance, then Maya actually he plays tricks in terms of priorities. Like you are able to chant, you are able to do sadhana, you are able to read Bhagavad Gita, but then you are not able to prioritize. Something happens in the family or something happens in the extended family, and you become disturbed because your consciousness is not very strong. The emotional quotient is not so much. So for that, we have to take association of senior devotees. We have to take association of other Madhyamadikaris who can make us afloat, basically, who can give us that tattva, basically, that Krishna tattva, which will fill our vessels and our emotional quotient will be strong. So whatever happens in the family, we should not be strayed away by our mind should not be like thinking like them. We should be neutral. That's the quality of a Madhyamadikari. He is not taking anyone's sides. He thinks in a neutral way. He doesn't he is not affected by anybody else's weaknesses. So that is important. Okay. So it's a Krishna conscious person is a very, very neutral person, and he's always prioritizing Krishna. Whatever helps in his Krishna consciousness, he tries to do that. If it helps to connect with his parents, he does that. If it helps to serve his family, he does that. if it helps to serve in company to form a good relationship with manager, he does that. If it helps to serve in the temple to have good relationship with devotees, he does that. So whatever helps you in Krishna consciousness, that you have to do at the right time. So our Guru Maharaj says that like in every season the weather is different, right? So automatically for every season we have to like our services change. For example, when we are brahmachari, we can read more scriptures, we can preach, we can do more temple services, we can associate with devotees, we can serve the grastas. But when we become grasta, and in like we can go to pilgrimage sites, we can stay for a long time at pilgrimage sites, and we can like a lot of things we can do, right? Like we can go for book distribution all the time, we can preach. But when you become grasta, you have to prioritize your family. There are some specific services, specific duties which you have to do. And when the family expands, then even the services expands more. Then you have to tolerate. There are like things are not perfect. This is material world. Things will keep on happening. Those expectations have to be rightly set. So every season has its own weather, right? And we have to bear with that weather because this material world is dukhalyama shashvatam. But it is up to us that how we take that, how we set our expectations, how we set our resources. So it is very important to do all these things, and that's why this service is very important. Like this, teaching Bhakti Shastri and giving an opportunity to others to learn Bhagavad Gita and to ask questions and to even to discuss among yourself if you are having any questions, or are you able to understand Bhagavad Gita or everything. So if you have any doubts, at least you have each other. Pragya Mataji and Prabhjit Prabhu, they are following up with each one of you. You can ask them, now, okay, Mataji, I'm feeling struggle little bit on this verse. Can you explain? So she will explain. So like that, this is a great platform. Actually, you can be open-hearted and you can ask questions and you can go forward in your Krishna consciousness. Yeah, Prabhupada used to say that at least once a week we should give one day exclusively for Krishna. And that exclusively for Krishna means it might be like prolonged sadhana, or you might hear from devotees with whom you like. You hear and then you read, then you answer questions, you try to understand Shastra in Tattva, and then you ask questions, whatever questions you have. Because in Nectar of Instruction, Prabhupada says that if you don't ask questions, if you are not inquisitive for the right thing, then automatically Maya will take you towards the wrong things. You will have to do prayasa. You will have to do atyahara if you are not inquisitive about knowing Krishna, about understanding your relationship with Krishna. So that's why inquisitiveness is very important, actually. And that's why both Pragya Mataji and Prabhjit Prabhu are good. They are inquisitive, at least they are attentive. So when you are inquisitive, then it's easier to make advancement. Krishna gives you special attention, and he pulls you up towards himself. Okay. So now again Arjuna will give some more excuses. Arjuna Vacha. I'm reading the 4th verse actually. Project, I think. I don't know how many of you have. Arjuna Vacha Katham Bhishmam Aham Sankhye Dronam Cha Madhusudana Ishubhi Pratiyotsyami Pujara Varisudana. Arjuna said, O killer of enemies, O killer of Madhu, how can I counterattack with arrows in battle men like Bhishma and Drona who are worthy of my worship? Yeah, I think we have read these verses. Respectable superiors like Bhishma, the grandfather, and Dronacharya, the teacher, are always worshipable. Even if they attack, they should not be counterattacked. It is general etiquette that superiors are not to be offered even a verbal fight. Even if they are sometimes harsh in behavior, they should not be harshly treated. Then how is it possible for Arjuna to counterattack them? Would Krishna ever attack his own grandfather, Ugrasena, or his teacher, Sandipni Muni? These were some of the arguments offered by Arjuna to Krishna. So we should not counterattack them, at least, although we might think that they are not right in the Krishna conscious way, but we should try to tolerate even if they are scolding in the wrong manner. We should just tolerate, and sometimes we should see it as mercy of Krishna, right? Like sometimes Krishna makes such arrangements that our prarabdha is getting purified by their scolding, although they might be scolding for the wrong reason, because those are our family members, right? And they, like, if you talk about personalities like Bhishma and Drona, they have done so much austerity by which only they have become gurus. So becoming a guru is not easy thing. Like you have to do proper austerity. Your speech should be in order. Your thought process should be in order. In your heart also, your Krishna consciousness should be in order. So everything should be in order. So even if like they become angry, we should not become angry on them, because sometimes Krishna inspires them to act in such a way so that they can purify us. Okay. Okay, let's read the next verse. Guruna hatva imanubhavan shreyo bhoktum vakshamapiha loke hatvartha kamamstu guru nihar vunji abhogan rudira pradigdhan. It would be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of great souls who are my teachers. Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with blood. So yeah, all these reasons, like very similar analogies Krishna is giving. So according to scriptural codes, a teacher who engages in an abominable action and has lost his sense of discrimination is fit to be abandoned. So a teacher is a very high qualification. Like a teacher should not engage in sinful activities. A teacher is ideally should be at a Brahmanical standard, and even he should try to become a Vaishnava. And he should know that how to give the knowledge to others, because whatever you practice, that only you can teach. So you cannot teach what you can't practice. I think you all must have heard this story of Mahatma Gandhi, that one mother approached Mahatma Gandhi. So the mother said about her kid that Mahatma Gandhi, everybody hears you out, everybody listens to you. So can you tell my kid that you should not eat sweets? You are eating too much sweets. So Mahatma Gandhi told, okay, you come after 3 days. Why? Why did he tell to come after 3 days? That Mataji. Anybody? Any? I think you must be knowing already.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
So actually, Mahatma Gandhi, he himself was eating sweets. So that's why he told that first I will practice, then I can preach.
Yes, yes. So after 3 days, when Mataji came, then Mataji asked. Then Mahatma Gandhi immediately told her kid, "Ki you should not eat sweets," and immediately he followed. So then she asked him, "What? Why did you made me wait 3 days?" Then Mahatma Gandhi said, "I myself was eating sweets 3 days back, and then I controlled myself for 3 days from sweets, and I took a vow." So this way, like Mahatma Gandhi also knew that you cannot preach anything which you yourself are not able to follow. But although like there are like micro and macro things to this, so although there might be instability, but still whatever you have assimilated in your heart, the scriptural things, right, that you can teach. Whatever spiritual conceptions you have, that you can share with others, and that can be penetrated into others' hearts. So yeah, like we should not generalize it that okay, your life is so miserable with your relationships, you should not preach. But actually, like when Guru says, then we have to preach. Sometimes Krishna Shakti, Guru Shakti is so nice that basically that instructions empowers that devotee to share his realizations with others. Okay. So Bhishma and Drona were obliged to take side of Duryodhan because of his financial assistance, although they should not have accepted such a position simply on financial considerations. Under the circumstances, they have lost the respectability of teachers, but Arjuna thinks that nevertheless they remain his superiors, and therefore to enjoy material profits after killing them would mean to enjoy spoils tainted with blood. Yeah. So actually, in the Vedic culture, it is said that once you have taken prasadam from any authority, you become indebted to them, and you have to serve them actually. And although like in Kali Yuga, it's not being followed so much even in ISKCON, but this is like even Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes that if somebody he takes even little bit mercy from a guru, he stands at the door of the Guru like a dog to protect him. So that's why it said that our culture is a Kukura culture. Vaishnava culture is like Kukura culture. Kukura means we become a dog of the Vaishnava. So by becoming the dog, we also advance. We become humble. So a dog, what is the behavior of a dog? Like when master says, come here, we come here. When master says, okay, you go there, you jump from Himalayas, ready. We are ready to jump from Himalayas. So whatever master says, we do. But master should be authorized. Master should be a Vaishnava. He should be a bona fide spiritual master. Okay. Next verse. Nacha tadvidma kataranno garyo yadva jayema yadiva na jayeyu yaneva hatva na jivishamas eva sthita pramukhe dhartarashtra. Nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to live. Yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield. So now Arjuna is becoming totally confused. He's not able to discriminate whether I should fight, whether I should not fight, and whether he should kill or whether he should not kill. That's why in the next verse he will surrender. So Pragya Mataji would like to read 6th verse purport.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hello, okay. Just a second. Yeah, go.
प्रभुजी बुक से पढ़ लें.
Yes.
Purport. Arjun did not know whether he should fight and risk unnecessarily violence, although fighting is the duty of the Kshatriyas, or whether he should refrain and live by begging. If he did not conquer the enemy, begging would be his only means of subsistence. Nor he was there certainly of victory, because either side might emerge victorious. Even if victory awaited them and their cause was justified, still, if the son of Dhritarashtra died in battle, it would be very difficult to live in their absence. Under the circumstances, that would be another kind of defeat for them. All these considerations by Arjun definitely proved that not only was he a great devotee of the Lord, but he was also highly enlightened and had complete control over his mind and senses. His desires to live by begging, although he was born in the royal household, is another sign of detachment. He was truly virtuous, as these qualities, combined with his faith in the words of instructions of Sri Krishna, his spiritual master, indicate. It is concluded that Arjun was quite fit for liberation. Unless the senses are controlled, there is no chance of elevation to the platform of knowledge, and without knowledge and devotion, there is no chance of liberation. Arjun was competent in all these attributes over and above his enormous attributes in his material relationships. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So this is very important, that we have to control our mind and senses, and then only we can elevate ourselves on the platform of knowledge and spiritual conception. So even in Nectar of Instruction, Prabhupada writes that one's first endeavor to advance in spirituality is to control your mind and senses. And once you are able to control your mind and senses, and you are able to dwell a life of mode of goodness, then everything else which is required to make further advancement will be revealed by Krishna's reciprocation. So here we can see that Arjuna is making so many arguments. If he would have been there, maybe we will be continuously crying, or we would have ran away, and we would have done some voracious sense gratification because of these like weak-heartedness. But Arjuna is actually at least expressing his his concerns, his emotions in front of Krishna very, very transparently. So that should be the approach we should take when we approach our authorities. We should tell them whatever we are feeling, and then they will take us out from the well. Okay. Any questions till now? I'll come in.
No, Prabhuji.
So now in the next words, Arjuna will surrender. कार्पण्य दोष अपहत स्वभाव पृच्छामि त्वां धर्म समूढ़ चेता यच्छ्रेयस्या निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं साधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम्. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of my miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrender unto you. Please instruct me. So Arjuna is very, very clear about his own consciousness, right? And that's why, like, whenever we approach authorities, we should try to bring as much clarity as we can about our thoughts. And then when we surrender to an authorized person, then Krishna reciprocates in the speech of that authorized person. So we can read a couple of paragraphs. So last two paragraphs, Prabhupada is telling about Kripana and Brahmana. So a Kripana is one who doesn't want to engage anything in spirituality. And a Brahmana is one who is liberal, who instructs even his own enemy also. So Kripana means miserly, and Brahmana means he is very, very free-hearted, carefree. Purport. I'll just. By nature's own way, the complete system of material activities is a source of perplexity for everyone. In every step, there is perplexity, and therefore it behooves one to approach a bona fide spiritual master who can give one proper guidance for executing the purpose of life. All Vedic literatures advise us to approach a bona fide spiritual master to get free from the perplexities of life, which happen without our desire. They are like a forest fire that somehow blazes without being set by anyone. Similarly, the world situation is such that perplexities of life automatically appear. Without our wanting such confusion, no one wants fire, and yet it takes place, and we become perplexed. The Vedic wisdom therefore advises that in order to solve the perplexities of life and to understand the science of the solution, one must approach a spiritual master who is in the disciplic succession. A person with a bona fide spiritual master is supposed to know everything. One should not therefore remain in material perplexities, but should approach a spiritual master. This is the purport of this verse. Okay. So actually, this material world is full of material miseries and material sufferings. The kalyam ashashvatam. So that should be our expectation, that ultimately, if we don't follow Krishna consciousness nicely, and if we are not confident about our consciousness, about our Krishna consciousness, then there will be some or the other struggle in this material world. That should be our expectation. Our expectation should not be like this material world will be a place of happiness. I will eat ice cream. It will be so tasty. I am so happy in this material world. There are so many luxuries, so many good friends, such a nice, compassionate manager, such nice devotee relationships. Devotee relationships are good. That will tell you that this is a place of misery. But actually, like whatever where we have expectation of happiness from material things, that is the trap. Our Guru Maharaj says that we are not attached to our miseries, but we are attached to the sources of our miseries. And whenever we expect happiness from material things, that is actually a misery. Yehi sangsparshja bhoga dukh yonaya evate adi antavant kaunteya na teshu ramate buddha. Yehi sangsparshja bhoga. So whenever dukha yonaya evate adi antavant. So whenever senses come in contact with sense objects, there is a feeling of happiness. But Prabhupada writes in the third chapter that actually is like a poison. And that brings suffering from the adi antavant, from the beginning till the end. And that's why in that happiness, na teshu ramate buddha. The intelligent people don't dwell so much. Obviously, like our there has to be some amount of recreation to keep our body, mind, and intelligence happy. So we should not regret so much, but our sense gratification should be very, very regulated. And whatever is required to keep the body, mind, and soul together, that only we should do. We should not indulge too much energy in fulfilling the needs of the body. But whatever minimum is needed to carry out our duties and sadhana, that much we should do. Okay. Now, eighth verse. न हि प्रपश्यामि ममापनुद्या यच्छोकमुच्छोषणमिन्द्रियाणाम् अवाप्य भूमौ असपत्नं रिद्धं राज्यं सुराणामपि चाधिपत्यम्. I can find no means to drive away this grief which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth with sovereignty like the demigods in heaven. Yeah, so again, Arjuna is giving different reasons. Yeah. So actually, Arjuna is unable to solve his real problem. And that is why a spiritual master is needed. So the role of the spiritual master is to take the disciple out of the material weaknesses. So he doesn't say, okay, you keep eating ice cream or you keep doing sense gratification. He cuts the sense gratification. He doesn't want you to suffer. We say that we are burning in the forest and we don't want to leave also. We want the sense gratification very much. So how will the process work? How will the spiritual master cut the knots? Spiritual master, we have to follow the instruction of the spiritual master. That might be a little bit uncomfortable, but at least it will keep us progressive to advance towards Krishna. So that's what Krishna will be instructing Arjuna also. Prabjit, you can read from here.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, madam.
Although Arjuna was putting forward so many arguments based on knowledge of the principles of religion and moral codes, it appears that he was unable to solve his real problems without the help of spiritual master. Lord Sri Krishna, he could understand that his so-called knowledge was useless is in driving away his problems, which were tying up his whole existence, and it was impossible for him to solve such perplexities without the help of a spiritual master like Lord Krishna. Academic knowledge, scholarship, high position, etc., are all useless in solving the problems of life. Help can be given only by a spiritual master like Krishna. Therefore, the conclusion is that a spiritual master who is not 100% Krishna conscious is the bona fide spiritual master, for he can solve the problems of life. Lord Chaitanya said that one who is a master in the science of Krishna consciousness, regardless of his social position, is the real spiritual master. Kiba Vipra Kiba Nashi Sutra Kena Naya Yehi Krishna Tattva Veda Se Guru Haya. It does not matter whether a person is a Vipra, learned scholar in Vedic wisdom, or is born in a lower family, or is the renowned daughter of light. If he is a master in the science of Krishna, he is the perfect and bona fide spiritual master. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 8.128. So, without being a master is in the science of Krishna consciousness, no one is a bona fide spiritual master. It is also said in the Vedic literature. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. सत्कर्मणि पुनः विप्रो मंत्रतंत्र विशारदा अवैष्णवो गुरु न स्यात् वैष्णव स्वभाच guru. Yeah, so actually that's why we need help from a spiritual master, because the problem is not really the external situation. The problem is in our consciousness. And when we take help from spiritual master in a humble way, then by the speech of the spiritual master, by the Krishna consciousness of the spiritual master, our consciousness is elevated and we forget about the problem. Otherwise, our consciousness is always problem focused. Oh, this person is bothering me so much. So we are problem conscious rather than Krishna conscious. And when we hear from a spiritual master, our consciousness becomes elevated. So that is the job of the spiritual master. He doesn't get into the details of the problem. He tells you about Krishna, and that Krishna will enlighten you in your consciousness. So that is there. And that's why one exclusive day per week for Krishna is required, because that will bring more light and more realization. Krishna Surya Maya Haya Andhikar, Yaha Krishna Vani Maya Radhika. So Krishna, when we focus on Krishna, when we take association of devotees, hear Krishna Katha from them, then there is a lot of enlightenment which is taking place in our heart. The Bhakti Rasa starts flowing in our heart more and more. So that's why it's recommended to hear in the association of devotees and to discuss Krishna Katha with each other, to discuss about Krishna. What are your doubts in scriptures? To read scriptures very carefully every day, every at least half an hour. You should try to read Bhagavad Gita. If you are not able to read like a storybook, you should speak and read. You should recite the words, and then you should read the meaning, and you should read the purpose. So that will give strength to your mind. Strength, Krishna will reciprocate, and you will understand that this Bhagavad Gita is non-different from Krishna. So these purports are like love letters of Prabhupada for us. So like this, basically. Okay. So let's read the next verse. Sanjay Avacha Eva Muktva Rishikesham Gudakesha Parantapa Nayotsa iti Govindam Muktva Dushnim Babuva. Sanjay said, having spoken thus, Arjuna, chastiser of enemies, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight, and fell silent. Yeah, Himanshu bro, you would like to read? Or what?
Sure. Dhritarashtra must have been very glad to understand that Arjun was not going to fight and was instead leaving the battlefield for the begging profession. But Sanjay disappointed him again in relating that Arjun was competent to kill his enemies, Parantapa. Although Arjun was, for the time being, overwhelmed with false grief due to family attention, he surrendered into Krishna, the supreme spiritual master, as a disciple. This indicated that he would soon be free from the false lamentation resulting from family affection and would be enlightened with perfect knowledge of self realization or Krishna consciousness, and would then surely fight. Thus, Dhritarashtra's joy would be frustrated since Arjun would be enlightened by Krishna and would fight to the end.
So Prabhupada is mentioning, thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada is mentioning the emotional talk which is going behind the scenes between Dhritarashtra and Sanjay. So Sanjay is addressing Arjuna as Parantapa. Parantapa means chastiser of the enemies. So like, because Dhritarashtra must be very happy, right? Because Arjuna is demotivated and he's about to leave the battlefield. He has left his bow. But Sanjay is shattering his hopes by addressing Arjuna as Parantapa. And yeah, like when you have Krishna by your side and when you have trust in Krishna, then everything will be taken care of by Krishna. So like that's what Sanjay is trying to communicate to Dhritarashtra. And there is a lot of emotional talk actually. Even Arjuna is, when we read Bhagavad Gita, this Nirjala Ekadashi, we saw that Arjuna was addressing Krishna as Tat, and Krishna is also addressing Arjuna as Tat. So Tat is a very friendly word, which means a friend. So it is used by very cultured persons. So there is a lot of emotional talk also which is going on. Senior devotees can tell about this. Okay, let's go to next verse. You can always ask questions if you have any. तमुवाच ऋषिकेश प्रहसन्निव भारत सेनयोर्भयोर्मध्ये विषुदन्तमिदं वच. O descendant of Bharata, at that time Krishna, smiling in the midst of both the armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna. So Arjuna is getting demotivated. He is so much negative emotions, and Krishna is just smiling. And I think this is the situation for all of us, right? Like when we go to the temple, sometimes our situation is not good, but Krishna is always looking at us and he is smiling. And by that smile, actually, our situation improves. So yeah, it's all about our consciousness actually, and Krishna elevates our consciousness by his smile. So purport, who would like to read? Aman Prabhu, you want to read? 10th verse. Or Simran Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, good.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
The talk was going on between intimate friends, namely the Rishikesha and the Gudakesha. As friends, both of them were on the same level, but one of them voluntarily became a student of the other. Krishna was smiling because a friend had chosen to become a disciple. As Lord of all, he is always in the superior position as the master of everyone, and yet the Lord agrees to be a friend, a son, or a lover for a devotee who wants him in such a role. But when he was accepted as the master, he at once assumed the role and talked with the disciple like the master, with gravity as it is required. It appears that the talk between the master and the disciple was openly exchanged in the presence of both armies so that all were benefited. So the talks of Bhagavad Gita are not for any particular person, society, or community, but they are for all, and friends or enemies are equally entitled to hear them.
Hmm.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So Gudakesha and Rishikesha, both the words are used here. Rishikesh means one who gives pleasure to the senses for Krishna, and Gudakesha means one who has conquered his sleep. This is for Arjuna. So Krishna is smiling because Arjuna, who was a friend, now he has surrendered as a disciple. So even like when we pay obeisances to some guru, some spiritual master, he displays his blessings. He conveys his blessings. He displays his spiritual compassion on that soul. So because he is happy by the submission of the other living entity, so he sees the soul inside that living entity and he prays to Krishna to give him mercy. So that's what Krishna is smiling because Arjuna has surrendered and he's humble. Okay. Let's go to the next verse. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Ashocyananvasocastam Pragyavadam Savashase Gatasun Nanushocanti Pandita. The Supreme Personality Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. So from here, Krishna will start instructing Arjuna about Sankhya Yoga. And we have to cover Sankhya Yoga today. So we can do a group activity here, like just like Arjuna is feeling weak-heartedness in doing something, and we also know that dharmo rakshati rakshata, right? If we follow dharma, then dharma will give protection to us. So in what good activities we are feeling weak-hearted? If anybody wants to share his experience, you can take 30 seconds and then tell. Has anybody encountered a situation like Arjuna? That also should be fun. Just sharing. Think and share. Yeah, others also think like every time Prabhjit Prabhu is the first one to speak. Yeah, go ahead, Prabhjit Prabhu.
यस यस हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी। प्रभु जी, जब हमने अपनी कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस मतलब स्टार्ट करी थी, तो स्टार्टिंग में मतलब पता नहीं था कि कैसे मतलब चलना है और धीरे धीरे आगे कैसे बढ़ना है। तो उस टाइम बहुत गलतियाँ होती थी, तो जब गलती हो जाती थी और पता चलता था कि ये हमारी गलती है, तो उस टाइम बहुत रिग्रेट रहता था कि मतलब ऐसी गलती हमने क्यों करी। तो फिर सोचते थे कि अब मतलब सही इसको कैसे करें, आगे कैसे बढ़ें। तो फिर जब से शशांक प्रभु जी से हम मिले थे, तो उन्होंने जब गाइड करा, तो तब हमें लगा कि हाँ, हमें ये गलती नहीं करनी चाहिए थी, मतलब बहुत बड़ी मिस्टेक थी ये हम स्पिरिचुअल लाइफ में ऐसे। तो प्रभु जी, इस तरीके से मतलब पहले कभी हुआ था कि कुछ मतलब मिस्टेक्स थी जो हमने करी थी, तो उसका बाद में बहुत रिग्रेट हुआ था। लेकिन फिर वो बाद में आके हमने उसको सॉल्व करा और अच्छे से उस पर काम करा था। तो स्टार्टिंग में प्रभु जी ऐसी सिचुएशंस आई थी हमारे साथ।
हाँ, तो आप बताना चाहेंगे क्या किस टाइप की मिस्टेक थी?
प्रभु जी, जैसे पहले हम मतलब बेमतलब का गुस्सा कर देते थे, और
क्या
मतलब
इसके ऊपर?
हाँ जी, बहुत मतलब एंगर इशू बहुत था। मतलब कुछ देखते नहीं थे, सोचते नहीं थे, तो गुस्सा बहुत ज़्यादा कर देते थे। मतलब सिस्टर पे कभी कभार एक बार क्या हुआ था, तो हमारा उनसे कुछ बात हुई, तो गुस्सा ज़्यादा हुआ था उनसे। तो उसमें गुस्से में हमने कुछ उनको बोल दिया था, तो बाद में हमें रिग्रेट हुआ कि हमें नहीं बोलना चाहिए था। फिर बाद में जब शशांक प्रभु जी हमें मिले, तो उन्होंने समझाया कि हमें बिल्कुल काम रहना चाहिए, क्योंकि गुस्से में हम कुछ भी बोलते हैं वो उल्टा ही निकलता है प्रभु जी।
हाँ,
उस टाइम हमें बिल्कुल एकदम कंट्रोल रखना चाहिए। बाद में उसको हमें उस चीज़ को हमें आराम से बात करनी चाहिए थी कि क्या इशू था। तो ये हुआ था।
एंगर डिस्ट्रॉयज एवरीथिंग गुड एक्चुअली। ऐसा कहा जाता है कि जो एंगर होता है वो मतलब 1 moment of strong anger is equivalent to working hard for 3 days, like दिहाड़ी के मजदूर जो होते हैं वो जितनी मेहनत करते हैं 3 दिन, दैट इज इक्विवेलेंट टू वन
Yes.
मोमेंट ऑफ स्ट्रॉन्ग। तो इसलिए गुस्सा करने की जरूरत नहीं। कहते हैं ना कि चिंता चिता के समान।
Yes.
एनीबडी एल्स और फिर यस माधु जी, गो अहेड।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, हमारा नेटवर्क प्रॉब्लम है, हमें ऑडिबल?
यस यस। बोलिए, आप बोलिए, मेरे को तो आ रही है आवाज।
अरे
हाँ।
यस प्रभु जी। प्रभु जी, हमारा ऐसा है कि कभी-कभी बहुत ज़्यादा रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज़ आ जाती हैं, जैसे कि मतलब बहुत सारी चीज़ें एक साथ हो जाती हैं, सुबह से लेके शाम तक बिल्कुल भी समय नहीं मिलता है। और कभी-कभी ऐसा हो जाता है कि माइंड तो फ्रेश रहता है, पर बॉडी इतनी ज़्यादा थक जाती है कि कुछ भी करने का मन नहीं करता। तो फिर हमें मतलब हर चीज़ से कटना पड़ता है, हर चीज़ से भागना पड़ता है, फ़ोन एकदम बंद करना पड़ता है, क्योंकि इतनी सारी चीज़ें एक साथ हो जाती हैं, तो फिर हम कुछ भी नहीं करते हैं, किसी से बात नहीं करते हैं, फ़ोन बंद कर देते हैं, कुछ भी कर देते हैं फिर। तो ये हमें कभी-कभी लगता है कि ये बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाता है कभी-कभी।
इसका वीक हार्टेडनेस से तो कोई रिलेशन नहीं है, लेकिन मतलब मेरा सजेशन तो यही है कि जब आप सेवा कर रहे हो तो उस टाइम भी आप कृष्णा कॉन्शियस वे में करो। इट्स लाइक अ सेवा रादर देन जस्ट रनिंग अराउंड और बहुत ही ज़्यादा मतलब डूअरशिप मेंटालिटी में कुछ कर रहे हो आप। क्योंकि डूअरशिप मेंटालिटी से एनर्जी जाती ही है। जितना हम अपने शिक्षा गुरु और मतलब उनको याद करके सेवा करते हैं कि हाँ उनके उनकी प्रसन्नता के लिए कर रहे हैं, तो उससे एनर्जी आएगी, उससे एनर्जी जाएगी। अगर हम सोचेंगे कि इतनी सारी चीज़ें हैं, कर दूं मैं जब किसी तरह और मैं कर दूंगा तो हो ही जाएंगी, ऐसा कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। लेकिन उससे एनर्जी चली जाएगी। कृष्णा कॉन्शियस वे में जब हम करेंगे तो आसान होता है फिर। लेकिन उसके लिए फिर आपको थोड़ा सा अपना देखना भी पड़ेगा कि क्या क्या सेवा करना चाहते हैं। और बेस्ट तो ये है कि जो जो और डिवोटीज हैं उनको भी आप सेवा में लगाओ। अब जैसे भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर
यस
हैं
प्रभु
वो
जी, मतलब ज़्यादातर ऐसा होता है कि हम वैसे थक जाते हैं।
कैसे?
मतलब प्रभु जी, हमारे शरीर मतलब थक जाता है, मतलब मन तो फ्रेश रहता है, जैसे कल हमें फ़ील हो रहा था। पर क्योंकि इतना ज़्यादा बाहर भी रहना पड़ता है और घर
हाँ
पे भी बहुत कुछ होता है, तो इस वज़ह से
हाँ जी हाँ जी।
चाह के भी मतलब हमारा बॉडी इतना काम नहीं कर पाता है।
हम्म। हाँ, एसोसिएशन का तो है ही है। कलयुगा में अभी ऐसे ही बेसिकली हम लोग दिल्ली में भी कॉलेज प्रीचिंग कर रहे हैं तो बच्चे ये
मतलब
बोलते हैं कि जब तक आप लोगों के साथ रहते हैं, चैंटिंग करते हैं, हियरिंग करते हैं, सब सही रहता है। लेकिन वही है कि 12 घंटे 8-10 घंटे तो घर से बाहर रहते हैं, तो वो तो बहुत ही ज़्यादा नेगेटिव एनर्जी लाता है। तो धीरे धीरे हमें अपने आप को अपनी कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस स्ट्रांग करनी है, और जितना भी हम कंडेंस कर सकते हैं उसे उतना करना चाहिए। और इसलिए हमारे जो फास्ट फ्रेंड्स होते हैं ना, वो हमें सेलेक्ट कर लेने चाहिए, 3-4 जो जो अच्छे कृष्णा कॉन्शियस फ्रेंड्स हैं, डिवोटी फ्रेंड्स, और उनसे भी डिस्कस करना चाहिए सब कुछ। क्योंकि उससे फिर नया पॉजिटिव एनर्जी आएगी उनसे। अभी आप बहुत सारी चीज़ें कर रहे हो नॉन डिवोटीज के साथ भी, तो उनसे एनर्जी चली जाती है। लेकिन वही है कि इंटरेक्शन आपकी ऐसी हो कि उनसे भी ना जाए, मतलब उनका भी पर्पस फुलफिल हो जाए, आप भी अपने लेवल पे रिलेशनशिप मेंटेन रखो। तो वही है, टेक्निक्स होती हैं, मतलब धीरे धीरे सीखेंगे हम लोग। ठीक है। मतलब वही, मतलब आप ये हमारा जो कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस का जो प्रोसेस है ना, ये सेल्फ रिफाइनिंग प्रोसेस है ये एक तरह से। कि आज मैंने इतनी सेवा कर ली, आज मैं थक गया, तो उसको बेटर वे में कैसे कर सकते हैं। तो वी प्रे टू कृष्णा बिफोर गोइंग टू बेड कि कृष्णा एटलीस्ट वन थिंग आई मस्ट हैव डन फॉर योर प्लेजर, so please give me strength to do one thing, at least one thing for your pleasure, so that you are happy. So when we do things for Krishna's pleasure, then the tiredness will be less. But in your case, I think you are dealing with non-devotees, so now obviously that energy will go out. So you pray, we will also pray for all of you that you get more and more devotee association. Okay. Yeah, in my case, I become very weak-hearted when uh, like I've been practicing for a very long time, 10 years, 11 years, but still I become weak-hearted when when this question of my parents come, because like I I have a lot of subtle attachments, right? And unless they are spiritualized, there is no solution. Like there is no Krishna conscious benefit there. But like it's very like that's where that growth has to happen, that confidence has to come, that my Krishna consciousness is so strong that nobody will be able to disturb me. So that confidence should be there. If that confidence is not there, then of course weak-heartedness will strike you, and that confidence will come when you are in the association of devotees and when you are doing meaningful exchanges. So like that consciousness will come. Okay, that's why I'm inviting today Vanchi Prabhu to our Kirtan program. You should come. Then only you will understand that what is the importance of devotee association. Slowly, our Sukriti develops, and slowly, we understand what is the importance of chanting, taking prasadam, taking association of devotees. For that, we have to take one step forward, one incremental step. Yeah, yes, Prabhu, go ahead. Aman Prabhu.
Shall I also join for Kirtan program?
Yes, Prabhu.
Shall I also come for Kirtan program? I have Mayapur Prasadam also.
Yeah, yes, Prabhu, yes. In the evening in the temple, they are doing.
Okay.
Vanchi Prabhu is coming. Are you coming, Prabhu? Vanchi Prabhu?
I'm still thinking 13 kilometers far away. Like I'm living 13 kilometers far away from the temple. So I was just thinking कि आने जाने में बहुत time लग जाएगा, but मन तो है आने का. I'll see. I'll try to come.
The time you are taking to think, Maya will slap you left, right, and center like a boxing glove.
ठीक है, I'll have good amount of prasadam, then I'll come.
Shadam is there. Mayapur Shadam is also there. The one Prabhu is bringing.
ठीक है, Prabhu.
So we'll continue later. So I, like 7 years back, I also used to live in Indranagar, and every Sunday, like I was also not chanting 16 rounds at that time. So slowly, I came for Narasimha Chaturdashi to the temple. So once a week I used to come, and like it was around 11 kilometers from my place. So only Uber. There is no dearth of money for you also, right? It's only dearth of piety and sukriti. So you should increase your sukriti by making this use of your money to gain the right piety. Yeah. So I used to spend the entire day at the temple. I used to take pressure to take a lot of biscuits, books. So whatever things I can protect me throughout the week. So slowly, if we do like this, then we can cultivate our seed of devotion. Our conceptions can change. We will understand what is the need of devotee association, what is the need of taking prasadam with devotees. So all these conceptions will develop. Our Bhakti Lata beach will feel nourishment. Otherwise, in everything we'll keep thinking only. We'll not take any step. This is our Hriday Dwarbalya only actually.
आज कोशिश करते हैं आने का.
Yeah, see you in 2 hours. Okay.
ठीक है.
So 12th verse. Na tvayevaham jatunasham na tvam neme janadipa na cheva na bhavishyama sarve vayam matha param. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. So now Krishna is bringing Arjuna to the spiritual conception. That you might think that you are Arjuna or he is Bhishma Dev or he is Dronacharya, but actually all these are spirit souls, and they always existed. They never took birth. They are never going to die. So like this, Krishna is taking Arjuna to spirit level now. Okay. Devanasmin yatha dehe kamaram yovanam jara tatha dehanta drapte dhiras tatra namuyati. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Okay. So anybody wants to read? Akshatra, we want to read?
Sure, Prabhuji. Since just give me a second, Prabhuji. I'm just opening my book. Sorry. Since every living entity in an individual soul, each is charging his body every moment, manifesting sometimes as a child, sometimes as a youth, and sometimes as an old man. Yet the same spirit soul is there and does not undergo any change. This individual soul finally changes the body at death and migrate to another body. And since it is sure to have another body in the next birth, either material or spiritual, there was no cause of lamentation by Arjuna on account of death, neither for Bhishma nor for Drona, for whom he was so much concerned. Rather, he should rejoice for their changing bodies from old to the new ones, thereby rejuvenating their energy. Such changes of body account for variety of enjoyment or suffering, according to one's work in life. So Bhishma and Drona, being noble souls, were surely going to have spiritual bodies in the next life, or at least live in heavenly bodies for superior enjoyment of material existence. So in either case, there was no cause of lamentation. Any man who has perfect knowledge of the constitution of the individual soul, the super soul, and natures both material and spiritual is called a dhira, or a most sober man. Such a man is never deluded by the change of bodies. The Mayavadis' theories of oneness of the spiritual soul cannot be entertained on the ground that the spirit soul cannot be cut into pieces as a fragmental portion. Such cutting into different individual souls would make the supreme cleavable or changeable against the principle of supreme souls being unchangeable. As confirmed in the Gita, the fragmental portion of the it supreme exists in eternally, sanatana, and are called sara. That is, they have a tendency to fall down into a material nature. These fragment portions are eternally so, and even after liberation, the individual soul remains the same, fragmental. But once liberated, he lives a eternal life in bliss and knowledge with the personality of Godhead. The theory of reflection can be applied to the super soul who is present in each and every individual body and is known as Paramatma. He is different from the individual living entity. When the sky is reflected in water, the reflection represents both the sun and the moon and the stars also. The stars can be compared to the living entities and the sun or the moon to the Supreme Lord. The individual fragmental spirit soul is represented by Arjuna, and the Supreme Soul is the personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. They are not on the same level, as it will be apparent in the beginning of fourth chapter. If Arjuna is on the same level with Krishna, Krishna is not superior to Arjuna, then their relationship of instructor becomes meaningless. If both of them are deluded by the illusionary energy Maya, then there is no need of one being the instructor and the other the instructed. Such instruction would be useless because in the clutches of Maya, no one can be an authoritative instructor under the circumstances. It is admitted that Lord Krishna is the supreme Lord, superior in the position to the living entity, Arjuna, who is forgetful soul deluded by Maya. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Very nicely read. So yeah, so basically we have to accept a spiritual master who has the qualification to instruct us. So Arjuna is accepting Krishna as the spiritual master because he is a bona fide instructor. So that's why this civilization is like a civilization of a blind man leading a blind man. If a blind man tries to lead a blind man, then the person who is leading, he will also fall in the well, and all the people who are following him, they will also fall in the well. So that's why the person who is leading should not be affected so much by the three modes of nature which the other person is affected. Then only that relationship, that give and take, will be useful and meaningful. Yeah. So that's what Krishna is saying, that you should not be fearful of killing Bhishma Deva Dronacharya because they will achieve heavenly planets, higher planets, because of their Sukriti. So there should not be any doubt in that. Okay, let's read the 14th verse. We have to cover till 24 today actually. Matrasparshasthu kaunteya shitoshna sukhadukkada agamapaniyo nityastam titikshasya bharata yam hina vyatyante te purusham purusharshava samadukha sukham dhiram somritattvaya kalpate nasato vidyate bhavo na bhavo vidyate satha ubhayorapi drishtantva swanino sattvadarshibhi. I will read these 3 verses. So actually in the 13th verse we learned about the about the definition of a dhira, a person who is not bewildered by a bodily change, because whenever we take material body, first we are born as a baby, then we reach Kumara stage, then we then we become a Yavana, and finally we become old. So dhira is not bewildered by such a bodily change, and finally when we become old, we change the bodies itself. So dhira is one who is not bewildered by such bodily change. And how to become a dhira? That is specified in the 14th verse. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O son of Bharta, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So the qualification for becoming dhira is to tolerate the happiness and distress, because these are the dualities of life. And a person in the 15th verse, Krishna is telling a person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. So this is the criteria for liberation also. So by tolerating whatever happiness and distress Krishna is sending in this material world, we actually can experience spiritual world in this material world also. So that is the qualification of a dhira, and that is the qualification of becoming liberated also. Okay. 15th verse, Ravi Prabhu, are you there? You want to read? Ravi Prabhu is not there. Okay. Hena Mataji, you want to read 15th verse purport? Or I will read. Anyone who is steady in his determination for the advanced stage of spiritual realization and can equally tolerate the onslaughts of distress and happiness is certainly a person eligible for liberation. So we have to do both the things. We should be determined in the advanced stage of spiritual realization, and we should be able to tolerate the onslaughts of distress and happiness. In the Varnashrama institution, the 4th stage of life, namely the renounce order, is a painstaking situation. But one who is serious about making his life perfect surely adopts the sannyas order of life in spite of all difficulties. Prabhupada used to say that without taking sannyas, one cannot become Krishna conscious. So everybody should take sannyas. So ultimately, internally, we should have consciousness, sannyas consciousness. But officially also, at the end of life, we should officially take sannyas. That is the verdict of Vedic scriptures. The difficulties usually arise from having to sever family relationships. They give up the connection of wife and children. But if anyone is able to tolerate such difficulties, surely his path to spiritual realization is complete. Similarly, in Arjuna's discharge of duties as a Kshatriya, he is advised to persevere even if it is difficult to fight with his family members or similarly beloved persons. Lord Chaitanya took sannyas at the age of 24, and his dependents, young wife as well as old mother, had no one else to look after them. Yet for a higher cause, he took sannyas and was steady in the discharge of higher studies. That is the way of achieving liberation from material bondage. Yeah, so Dharmo Rakshati Rakshata. Even our Shiksha Guru, right? So his wife, his wife's parents are very old, and they had to be taken care of. But still, they took the austerity of becoming professor in a college and preaching with their whole heart, with their whole Krishna consciousness. and in turn, Krishna gave protection to his wife's parents. So like this, Yasmin Tushte Jagat Tushta, Dharmo Rakshati Rakshata. When we take steps for pleasing Krishna, then automatically Krishna takes care of us. And this is reality actually. And that's what we have to do in our life. And that realization has to become more and more stronger. Then only we'll take risk for Krishna. And that's what Lord Chaitanya also did. At the age of 24, he left all his family, wife, mother, and they had nobody else to look up to. But still he gave them up. But he had full realization. So we should also have full realization, then only we should give up. Okay. So next verse. Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sata. Ubhayorapi drishtantva svanino sattvadarshvi. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of it. Yeah. Himanshu Prabhu, you want to read? Or Aman Prabhu, you have not read purport of this. So this is my favorite verse.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Purport.
Yes, Prabhu, 16th
Okay.
verse.
So, O son of Kunti.
No, purport of
Oh,
this.
sorry. There is no endurance of changing body, that the body changing every moment by the action and reaction of the different cells is admitted by modern medical science, and thus growth and old age are taking place in the body. But the spirit soul exists permanently, remaining the same despite all changes of the body and the mind. That is the difference between matter and spirit. By nature, the body is ever changing and the soul is eternal. This conclusion is established by all classes of seers of the truth, both impersonalists and personalists. In the Vishnu Purana, stated that Vishnu and his abodes all have self-illuminated spiritual existence. Jyotims Vishnur Bhuvani Vishnu. The word existent and non-existent refer only to spirit and matter. That is the version of all seers of truth. This is the beginning of the instruction by the Lord to the living entities who are bewildered by the influence of ignorance. The removal of ignorance involves the re-establishment of the eternal relationship between the worshipper and worshipable, and the consequent understanding of the difference between the part and parcel living entities and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can understand the nature of the Supreme by thorough study of oneself. The difference between oneself and the Supreme being understood as the relationship between the part and the whole in the Vedanta Sutras as well as in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Supreme has been accepted as the origin of all emanation. So, up.
Hmm.
Yeah. This, yeah. Or such emanation are experienced by superior and inferior natural sequences. The living entities belong to the superior nature as it will be revealed in the 7th chapter. Although there is no difference between the energy and the energetic. The energetic is accepted as the supreme, and the energy or nature is accepted as the subordinate. The living entities therefore are always subordinate to the Supreme Lord, as in the case of matter and the servant, or the teacher and the taught. Such clear knowledge is impossible to understand under the spell of ignorance. And to drive away such ignorance, the Lord teaches the Bhagavad Gita for enlightenment of living entities for all time. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much. So this is very important verse, and so we have to differentiate and discriminate between the eternal and the temporary. So the sadhus, they are only concerned about the eternal. What is Krishna and who are we? are a spirit soul, and by hearing chanting, by spiritual activities, we will understand Krishna. And that by establishing that relationship, our ignorance will be removed. Right? Removal of ignorance is done by establishing re-establishment of our eternal relationship between the worshipper and worshipper, and the consequent understanding of the difference between the part and parcel living entity and supreme personality of God. So when we understand that we are spirit soul, when we are offering obeisances with this conception that we are spirit soul, we are meant to serve Krishna, we are very small, then slowly our enlightenment happens, that we are actually spirit soul. And we start chanting also from our heart. The sound vibration comes from the soul. So that way, basically, we become more and more purified. Then we start operating on the spiritual platform every day. But the main thing is this, that our etiquette should be Vaishnava, our etiquette should be spiritual, and we should have like association of like-minded devotees, where we can share our realizations, where we can hear from each other about Krishna. So that is the eternality. Then maybe we might reach spiritual world also together. So that is also there. Sometimes Krishna keeps some devotees together so that they can do some service together, or they can act as a purificatory agent for each other. So like this, Krishna is very happy when devotees come together and discuss about Krishna. Okay, and ultimately, like the entire world is only two things: Krishna and his energies. Krishna's energy. So Krishna controls both the material energy and the spiritual energy. So he controls the working of our body also, and he controls actually our soul also. So when we surrender to Krishna, when we act for the pleasure of Krishna, automatically everything Krishna takes care. So that conviction should be there. Avashya Rakshive Krishna. And we are meant for the pleasure of Krishna. That also should be clear. Because when we give pleasure to Krishna, then automatically our senses are also receiving pleasure. Because Krishna is reciprocating and we are also feeling happy and satisfied. So when this reciprocation of rasas is happening, when we experience Krishna, then automatically our consciousness becomes clear and our knowledge becomes clear. And that ignorance is dissolved. Okay, we'll read 3 more verses. We have 20. अविनाशी तु तद्विद्धि येन सर्वमिदं ततं विनाशम् अव्ययस्यास्य न कश्चित् कर्तुमर्हति अन्तवन्तै मे देहा नित्यस्योक्ता शरीरिण अनाशिनो प्रमेयस्य तस्माद्युध्यस्य भारत. So till this verse, Krishna is instructing in general to Arjuna that you should not be demotivated till the 18th verse. And after 18th verse, the Sankhya Yoga is started. In Sankhya Yoga, Krishna will give specific instructions. What are the characteristics of spirit soul? Okay. That which pervades the entire body you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Arjuna. The material body is perishable by nature. It may perish immediately or it may do so after 100 years. It is a question of time only. There is no chance of maintaining it indefinitely. But the spirit soul is so minute that it cannot even be seen by an enemy, to say nothing of being killed. As mentioned in the previous verse, it is so small that no one can have any idea how to measure its dimension. So from both viewpoints, there is no cause of lamentation, because the living entity as he is cannot be killed, nor can the material body be saved for any length of time or permanently protected. The minute particle of the whole spirit acquires this material body according to his work, and therefore observance of religious principles should be utilized. In the Vedanta Sutras, the living entity is qualified as light because he is part and parcel of the supreme light. So the minute particle of the whole spirit acquires this material body according to his work, and therefore observant. So basically, like ultimately the soul is residing in the heart, but the life airs are surrounding that soul, the kapha, vata and pitta. And according to our karma and according to our lifestyle, those kapha, vata, pitta, they might get displaced. and then we can feel more energy in some other parts of the body. So according to our karma and according to our religious activities, we get a particular body, and the soul is also placed in a different way for different bodies. But when we chant Hare Krishna, we feel more enlightened, and we our vessel of heart becomes more filled with bhakti rasa, and we feel the reinstatement of soul inside our heart. And by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, if we do it happily, actually our life years also get aligned, the kapha vata pitta, and we will not get any disease actually. So since last 11 years, I have not got any major disease. Little bit cold, maybe sometimes once a year maybe. But apart from that, nothing, no disease. Keep Ekadashi nicely. You chant Hare Krishna whenever. So you take prasadam whenever you are hungry, and you serve. You try to cook prasadam for Krishna. You try to execute your life for pleasure of Krishna. Then you will never become diseased. य एनं वेत्ति हन्तारं यस्यैनं मन्यते हतम् उभौ तौ न विजानीतो नायं हन्ति न हन्यते. Neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain is in knowledge. For the self slays not, nor is slain. So nobody can slay anybody because we are all spirit souls. So that's what this verse is saying. Now the Sankhya Yoga part has begun. न जायते म्रियते व कदाचिन्नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूय अजो नित्यशाश्वतो यं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. So these realizations can come only when we experience Krishna, when we take association of a devotee who is at this level, at this realization. So yeah, but it is possible actually. There are sadhus who are there in this world who are living on this level. Ved vinashinam nityam yaenam ajam avyayam katham sha purusha partha kam ghatyati hantikam. So there are many people who can remember their past lives also. And slowly, when you advance in Krishna consciousness, you can understand who were you in your previous life, whom were you worshipping. For example, for myself, I can say I was a Ram Bhakta or a Hanuman Bhakta in my previous life, and I was very close to cow service. And because I found that very prominent in this life also. So you can understand those propensities, those vasanas, because you are going closer to the soul. Then Krishna will reveal the inconceivable mercy of previous lives also. Oh Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? Yeah. So in this purport, Prabhupada is talking about Yukta Vairagya, that a Krishna conscious person knows exactly how to utilize everything in Krishna's service. So similarly, violence also has its utility to kill the demoniac propensity. So as it is said that hate the sin, not the sinner. So like that, Krishna is killing the demoniac propensity of all the Kauravas. They are going back to Godhead, but their demoniac propensity is finished by the arrows of Arjuna. पाशांसि जीर्णानि यथा विहाय नवानि गृह्णाति नरोपराणि तथा शरीराणि विहाय जीर्णानि अन्यानि संयाति नवानि देहि. As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. Yeah, very famous verse. Vashamsi Jannani Yatha Vihaya. So just like we are wearing a shirt, and when this shirt becomes torn, we have to buy a new shirt. Similarly, we are wearing this body, and when this body expiration date comes, then we are given the next body. So like this, we should not worry too much about the body. There are many things which might happen to us on the bodily platform, but we should not worry too much about it. 22nd verse. Anybody wants to read? Oh, a lot of people have joined back. Vanchi Prabhu, go ahead.
Uh, लोग कहाँ पे? अच्छा, there is no endurance of the changing body, that the body is changing every moment by the actions.
No, actually that was the wrong verse. This was.
Okay.
This shows the
Change of
with which you are hearing.
नहीं मैं एक्चुअली वीडियो ऑफ करके सुन रहा था.
Oh, अच्छा. भगवत गीता है आपके पास?
हाँ है ना.
भगवत गीता है, ठीक है. आप भगवत गीता से भी पढ़ सकते हो. ठीक है.
Okay. Change of body by the atomic individual soul is an accepted fact. Even the modern scientists who do not believe in the existence of the soul, but at the same time cannot explain the source of energy from the heart, have to accept continuous changes of body, which appear from childhood to boyhood, and from boyhood to youth, and again from youth to old age. From old age, the change is transferred to another body. This has already been explained in a previous verse 2.13. Transference of the atomic individual soul to another body is made possible by the grace of the supersoul. The supersoul fills the desire of the atomic soul as one friend fulfills the desire of another. The Vedas, like the Mundak Upanishad, as well as the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, compare the soul and the supersoul to two friendly birds sitting on the same tree. One of the birds, the individual atomic soul, is eating the fruit of the tree, and the other bird, Krishna, is simply watching his friend. Of these two birds, although they are the same in quality, one is captivated by the fruits of the material tree, while the other is simply witnessing the activities of his friend. Krishna is the witnessing bird and the Arjun is the eating bird. Although they are friends, one is still the master and other is the servant. Forgetfulness of this relationship by the atomic soul is the cause of one's changing his position from one tree to another or from one body to another. The Jiva soul is struggling very hard on the tree of the material body, but as soon as he agrees to accept the other bird as the supreme spiritual master, as Arjun agreed to do by voluntary surrender unto Krishna for instruction, the subordinate bird immediately becomes free from all lamentations. Both the Mundaka Upanishad and Shvetashvatara Upanishad confirm this. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, I think we can skip that as. So this is the level at which we have to come. We have to reestablish our relationship with the super soul. So we ourselves and Krishna are compared to the two birds which are sitting on a tree, and we are actually, and that tree is compared to our body. So we are bearing the fruits of the tree, and we are enjoying those fruits. And depending on that enjoyment, we are getting another tree after some time. But if instead of enjoying the fruits of the tree, if we take our attention to Krishna, to the second bird, then that second bird will guide us, will instruct us. So that is what we have to understand. We have to come to the level of super soul realization. And the super soul manifests in the form of Guru, Chaitya Guru, and Shastra, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So that's why we have to be in the proximity. We have to be in the close proximity of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Purusha Prakritisto hi bhungte Prakriti jan gunan karanam guna sangosya sadasad yoni janmasu. So the more we enjoy the fruits of our fruitive activities, the more we become attached to the temporary, to the tree. Karanam guna sangosya sadasad yoni janmasu. And that's why we have to take so many species of material bodies. Yeah, sadasad yoni janmas. So many yonia and so many births we have to take. So for this connecting to the super soul only, we have to take association. So as soon as we come in the association of devotees, immediately we go inwards. Bahir Mukha and Antar Mukha, right? Bahir Mukha is one who is always looking externally, how the other external thing will give me happiness. But Antarmukhi is one who is looking inwards, that where is Krishna inside my heart and how I can connect with Krishna, and that connect with Krishna will bring me infinite happiness. So this is very important purport actually. I'll read that rest also. Although the two birds are in the same tree, the eating bird is fully engrossed with anxiety and moroseness as the enjoyer of the fruits of the tree. But if in some way or the other he turns his face to his friend, the Lord, and knows his glories, at once the suffering bird becomes free from all anxieties. So actually this makes us anxious. When we hanker for extracting pleasure from the material world, then that increases our anxiety. because dhyayanto vishyan punsa sangasteshu pujayate sankat sanjayate kama kama krodho vijayate. So sometimes our expectation is not fulfilled, sometimes it is fulfilled. That creates more expectation, more greed. So that's why we are in the duality. Raga, dvesha, raga, dvesha. We are having attachment. If our attachment is not getting fulfilled, we are having dvesha. We are envious of the other person. So that's why we should retract our consciousness from extracting pleasure of the outer, from the outer senses. Rather, we should go inward. And the best way to go inward is to read Bhagavad Gita in the association of devotees. Do kirtan. So Arjuna has now turned his face towards his eternal friend Krishna and is understanding the Bhagavad Gita from him. And thus, hearing from Krishna, he can understand the supreme glories of the Lord and be free from lamentation. So once this Nama Rupa Guna Lila, they enter our heart, then actually the lower modes they are elevated to higher modes. We come in mode of goodness because those knots are dissolved. Vidyate hridaya granthis chiyante chasya karma drishtevat manishwari. So when the bhakti rasa enters in our heart, then our knots are dissolved and we can see the Lord within our heart as a mirror. Drisht evat manishwari. Vidyante hridaya granthis chiyante chasya karma. So one verse is there in the second chapter of Bhagavatam. So Arjuna is advised herein by the Lord not to lament for the bodily change of his old grandfather and his teacher. He should rather be happy to kill their bodies in the righteous fight so that they may be cleansed at once of all reactions from various bodily activities. One who lays down his life on the sacrificial altar or in the proper battlefield is at once cleansed of bodily reactions and promoted to a higher status of life. So there was no cause for Arjuna's lamentation. Yeah, that's why like in Bhagavatam we read that Chitraketu was given a body of a demon, Vritrasura. And then Krishna took Vritrasura to Godhead just because he was killed by Indra by his Vajra. He went back to Vaikuntha. And Indradumna Maharaj was turned into Gajendra, who was an elephant, so that he was taken back to Godhead by that crocodile. So Krishna has various plans for us, and he might kill us eventually to take us back to Godhead. So we should not take death as a very fearful thing, because Krishna has his own plans, and generally a devotee is not very fearful of death. So that's why ultimately we have to understand Krishna's plan, and we have to hear Krishna Katha and understand the name, fame, glories of Krishna in this, in the right association. Okay, we'll pause here. Any questions? We'll start from 23rd verse in the next session. Himanshu bro, you have question?
No question.
Okay, everything understood. Okay, then thank you very much for assembling. We'll meet next Sunday.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.